getting more women to realize their worth. And that is kind of, I would say very sort of woven into the work that I do through Women in Negotiation, right? My business is showing women that stepping up, raising their hand, saying, pick me, I am ready, right? And also I deserve to be paid more, that is not just in their interest, it's also in the company's interest. Right. And not just for the general financial numbers of more women in higher positions lead to better, business results. Right. The research is pretty clear on that, but also in that very practical way that I describe in my TED Talk, which is about the cost basically of employee turnover and how they can help that. But one aspect that doesn't get really or that we miss out on there is what I see when I work with my clients, what they're able to deliver on once they are in that better position, once they feel more valued, as in part expressed in that salary, right? What they're able, or the level at which they're able to do their work. There is an enthusiasm and an inspiration and a dedication and motivation that is unleashed when they feel that they can, deliver at that higher plane. That is unbelievable.
Hey, I'm Julia Lopez, communication architect, international speaker, author of Leading in High Heels, and your host. Welcome to Brave, Bold, and Brilliant podcast. Together with my guests, I will share with you inspiring stories where being brave and bold were the trigger to becoming brilliant. For the past decade, I've been helping professionals to express themselves with clarity and confidence in any stage and arena of their lives. Communication is key to success, and stories have the potential to transform lives and move people into action. There is someone, somewhere, who needs to hear exactly what you have to say. Be brave, bold, and brilliant, and speak up unapologetically. Wies, dear Wies, it's such a pleasure to have you here.
It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yes, we belong to the same community, Lean In community. Lean In Switzerland. I know you were leading that community. I'm leading High Heels within Lean In.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to see you speaking. I had the opportunity to talk to you in different groups. And I know your topic, your woman in negotiation. It is such an important topic because we women have a lot to learn on that respect. And of course, you are the expert, you know more. And I want you to please share with us stories, and especially when you or some of your clients had to do brave and bold actions in order to brilliantly achieve what they want. Back to you.
I'm so excited, Julia. I really am very excited about this conversation. And thank you very much for the invite and for the platform, I guess, for me to talk about the thing that is ultimately driving my entire life by now, right? Which is getting women to speak up and speak out and to be, I guess, brave and courageous, right? In fulfilling their the work that they're meant to be doing in this world, right? And so, I can't wait to share. There is a ton. You were asking, or you were saying, share the stories of your clients. There's way too many.
Share your stories.
Way too many, right? So I'd love to tell me what would you like to hear about?
Well, no, I in case you want to share something from your client, yes, but of course we want to know about your stories. I saw you in this, I think it was TEDxWomen.
Yeah.
Which, interesting enough, the topic was bold, brave and bold.
Bold and brilliant, or something like that.
Something like that.
I have a terrible
and I loved your talk, and I will put in a link because I think everybody should watch your talk there.
Wonderful.
And you were really hitting the key of all the corporate leaders there on the topic that if you don't have, was about the benefits of having women force in their companies.
Yeah.
So I leave with you, share with us something important in that level and in the aspect of negotiation, what we women need to learn when we want to land into the job we want with the money we want.
Ooh, there is so much to share there. So let me see if we can kind of dig into this in a slightly ordered way. The first thing I was thinking about when you're asking about, being brave, was actually the source of my talk. So my TEDx talk was basically making the business case for women to ask for a salary raise, not just for the women, right? Because I think that's pretty easy one, right? You'll make more money, you'll have more fun in your job. What's not to love about that? Usually I don't get a lot of pushback on that. But my slightly controversial stance is actually that businesses are much better off financially if they proactively discuss the salary and potentially increase the salary of their female workforce, even when those women don't ask for it, right? And the result or the reason for doing this talk was actually a chat that I had a couple of months prior, last summer, with a gentleman who is the CEO of a very large bank financial institute in my native Netherlands. And it was after he did this really inspired speech about the importance, and it's so, for principled and moral reasons, right? We should have more women in the workforce and we should have them at higher positions. And he was talking really about how that's the right thing to do. And I went up to him afterwards, which I guess you could describe as a slightly bold move, right? Because the dude was chilling, in a corner surrounded by lots of people. And I decided that I just had an inkling that I should have a little chat with him. So I went up to him and I said to him, I really appreciated your speech. And here's the thing, right? You're only talking about the principled reasons why women should be speaking up or why they should be higher up in organizations across the board. Have you ever thought about the financial and sort of business reasons, right? And he's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, you run a large financial institute, right? It makes sense for you to kind of figure or talk about this or think about this. And basically in 10 minutes, I ran him through that business case, right? Why it's good for, financially speaking, for a company to promote their women and to pay them incredibly well, even when they don't ask for it. And he literally said to me then, whoa, I've never thought about it this way. You've really opened my eyes. And I've never thought about it this way. And I remember sitting in the train afterwards and just thinking to myself, if the CEO of one of the largest financial institutes in the world has not considered the business reason, right, why women should be promoted in their organizations, should do well in their organizations, right, then there's so much work to do, right? Which was the reason why I ended up doing the TEDx talk about that, because I thought there's a lot to win there. Yeah, I guess that was a moment of bravery, both on my part in talking to him, but also his, I guess, sort of bravery in admitting that he had no idea about this, and that together, actually, it was a really, really good exchange that we had, and with a powerful outcome, both in his organization and obviously in me, seeing the world through his eyes and realizing that there's a lot of work to be done. Yeah.
And this comes to another topic, because this is why we need diversity. Because if you don't have diverse ideas, diverse perspectives, you cannot see everything. Nobody can. And bringing something from a woman's perspective in the way that you brought, it's okay. Like, you were surprised, but when you think about it, well, he's not even surrounded, but a considerable amount of women, number of women that can show something on that level to him, to their dailies. So this is again about the numbers. We need more women everywhere in numbers.
Yes. Oh, and this is such I mean, this point is so close to my heart, right? That was the work that I used to do as the president of Lean in Switzerland, that I really focused on is getting more women to realize their worth. And that is kind of, I would say very sort of woven into the work that I do through Women in Negotiation, right? My business is showing women that stepping up, raising their hand, saying, pick me, I am ready. Right. And also, I deserve to be paid more, that is not just in their interest. It's also in the company's interest. Right. And not just for the general financial numbers of more women in higher positions lead to better, business results. Right. The research is pretty clear on that. But also in that very practical way that I describe in my TED Talk, which is about the cost basically of employee turnover and how they can help that. But one aspect that doesn't get really or that we miss out on there is what I see when I work with my clients, what they're able to deliver on once they are in that better position, once they feel more valued, as in part expressed in that salary, right? What they're able, or the level at which they're able to do their work. There is an enthusiasm and an inspiration and a dedication and motivation that is unleashed when they feel that they can, deliver at that higher plane. That is unbelievable. And that is something that I get very excited about. I mean, people ask me, you seem to care a lot about numbers, right? And money. I'm like, I'm not. I'm a freaking hippie, right? I really don't care. What I care about is getting women to level up. Because not just because it's good for them, right? Because it's way more fun, really loving every day the work that you're doing. But it's also really good for the company, because when you're stepping up to that level, I mean, your potential gets unleashed. It's amazing. And I think this is something that a lot of women underestimate, is the responsibility that they have to be courageous, to be bold, to speak up and say, I am ready. Because nobody comes to them and asks them kindly. That's not how the business world works. The question whether that's how the business world should work or not, right? It's a different one, and it's an interesting conversation. I think regardless of the outcome there, that isn't how it does work, right? Currently, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, meaning that the person who raises their hand and asks for attention, quote unquote, right, is the one that actually gets the attention. So if anybody listening now, woman or man, actually, that is just what I call, a busy bee, a person who sits behind their laptop and just, keeps plugging away and doing really great work and fantastic work, but never speaks up about it, never bravely, courageously says, hey, I'm doing fantastic work here, right? Never does that. That isn't, that doesn't just suck for them, right? Because it's no fun not getting any recognition. It is not good for the world, because how the heck is the world supposed to know what you're capable of if you're not talking about it, if you're not speaking up bravely, courageously, right? So the way that I see my role in my work with my clients is to inspire them and to show them you owe it, not just to yourself, but to the rest of the world, to share your magic, to share what you're great at. Because if you don't do it, nobody's going to know, and nobody's going to be able to leverage that, right? So yeah, speak up.
While you're talking, I was just thinking about, reminded me of an event that, which I spoke in Zurich a few years ago, 100 Women in Finance.
Yeah.
And the CEO from the US came, and on her speech, she said exactly what are you saying there with different words. But she said, women, please, there's so many opportunities within our corporations where you can use the stage to have a voice, to express your ways of doing things, to let us know how you think. But always the guys run and they get it. And why do they do that? Because they know it's important.
Because they know it. Well, there's lots of reasons. So.
Yeah, well, this is one.
But that is one, and it's the most important one, of course, right? They know it's important. Also, it's more acceptable for them, right? So the world appreciates it more, or even allows it more from men than they do from women. So it is no wonder. I always say, to women, please don't feel bad or guilty for you not having done it in the past, because your entire past has set you up to not ask, to not speak up, right? So no wonder you feel held back, because the world around you, society, tells you not to do that, and you have all these internal barriers through the way that you've been raised, right, to not do that same thing. So no wonder you're not doing it. Please don't feel bad, and please change it if you want yourself to benefit from it, but also other people to benefit from it, right? And I'm doing, between you and I, the reason that I'm doing that, of course, is to kind of link up with another important thing for women, precisely because of the way we've been raised, which is to think about others first, right? Don't speak up for yourself, speak up for others, right? Because I'm trying to get them to make it really attractive, right, to speak up. And one example I'm just now thinking about of the importance, right, to be confident and to speak up bravely about yourself and work that you do, is something that is outside of my work. That happened a couple of months ago when with my interesting. Anyway, with my sort of financial advisor, right? So I was moving, or we wanted to move at the time, from Switzerland, where I was based, where we met, right, to Holland. So I've moved back this summer, right, to Holland, and we wanted to buy a house here in this country, in the Netherlands, and it was impossible. It was absolutely impossible, right? With my business not having been established long enough, with foreign income, and banks were basically just closing the door on me left, right, and center. If at last count, I think I spoke to more than 20 mortgage brokers, people, right? And they all said, sorry, no, can't do, which was really disheartening. And then one day I spoke to this magical woman, basically. She was introduced to me like, if anybody can do it, it's her, right? You really want to you want to speak to her. So I actually called her up. And so I told her the story, all the details, right? Our background, which had basically been a reason for the other 20 plus people, mostly boys, by the way, to say no to us, right? And so I'm speaking to her, explaining this. She goes quiet for, 5 seconds and goes, yeah, I can do this for you. I can get you a mortgage. And I was like, dumbstruck. I was like, yeah, but what? Like, So I told her, I was like, amazing. Like, but I don't really trust it, because I've had all these other people say no, and why are you saying yes? And I'm so confused. And I was just like so, confused. And she said to me, I'll never forget this. I get goosebumps. She said, Wies, I know you couldn't get a mortgage in the past, but that's before you met me. And I was like, okay, that's it. The importance here is that she was so confident, right? In that moment, she was so confident. And as, expressed in those words, that was before you met me. You couldn't get one, but you hadn't met me before, right? That's what she was saying. I mean, talk about confident, huh? Talk about like hardcore. And my entire heart rate went down the minute, the moment she said, that was before you met me. I've got you. That was what she was saying, right? I've got you. And I just went, oh, okay, I can relax now. And she did. She got us a mortgage, right?
Amazing.
Amazing. I mean, this is the house that I'm now in, right? It's all 100% thanks to her that we were able to purchase that, is because in that moment, in that conversation, she said, I can do this for you, that she was utterly confident. I have told my clients this story. This lady is now famous in my client group, because the confidence that she, exhibited in that sentence, that one sentence, that's before you met me, you couldn't do it, now you can, right? Because I can do this for you. I said that was serving me. That was serving me as her potential client, because it allowed me to relax. It allowed me to trust her, and it literally changed my family's future. I will forever be indebted to this lady. But that example of her taking over confidence, right? Bravely saying, she didn't say, oh, I'll see what I can do. Maybe I can get, if she had said anything less than so confidently, expressing, I can do this for you, we wouldn't be living here. I guarantee you. Because I would have been like, yeah, well, then I'm going to have to wait, and then we're going to have to see. And yeah, let me just rent a freaking house here, right? Like, I've given up, basically. But because she was so extremely confident, that's the reason I decided to bet on her, right? And it's worked out brilliantly. And that level of confidence, that's again something that I try to transmit, right, to my clients a lot, is that level of confidence, you stepping up and saying, I've got your back, I can do this, right, is often, you're not doing that for yourself, you're doing that for the other person, so that they can relax.
Absolutely. But there's one thing also that I want to mention behind, for her, I don't know her, but for her to get to that level is a process.
Sure.
It is a process. And also, I believe that the confidence that she can say to you, I got your back, I can do that for you, is because she knows. She has been around as a woman. And she had probably to knock many doors and then be thrown back. But now she knows the way to break the system to get what she wants as a woman as well. So this is why we need more women.
Yes, we need more women like that. And you have a very good point, Tulia. It was built on, years and years, right, in the industry. And getting these results. And I'll tell you, the number of women I work with that are very senior in their careers, that have amazing backgrounds, that come to me to work on leveraging that amazing work, for themselves for once. You wouldn't believe the number, right? Like these women that are talking to me, and I always ask them, I'm very selective in who I work with, right? So I talk them through, or I have one of my coaches talk them through their entire careers, and they'll just tell me all of these amazing, results that they have gotten, all these amazing things they have achieved, right? And they'll be like, oh, but no big deal, right? And they'll downplay it themselves. And it's like, it's hard work getting them to see that the things that they think of as no big deal are actually amazing results that they should be talking about to more people, so that more people know that they can use this brilliant woman, in my case, to broker a mortgage, right? And in other cases, to do whatever their specific, square centimeter of wisdom is about, right? That they can use these women, right? But I am perpetually surprised about women at all levels in their career, but including very, very senior, right? That are still struggling with that aspect. They do amazing work. They don't think of it as anything special. And they're definitely not going to talk about it. Basically. Exactly.
And this is one thing I say to my clients as well, that on that, if you cannot say anything, just say thank you. You don't need
or when they receive compliments.
Yeah, that is the first step. When someone say, if you're doing great, don't explain that this was nothing, that, you just did. No. Stop there and say,
smile.
Thank you. And then you figure out later how to solve this limiting belief that you have there. But we all, if I look back my life like 20 years ago, I could see myself doing this as well. Because I thought it was just, I had to do it. And when we have this kind of behavior as I am, I'm a doer, I do things, I go for it. And you just feel you have to do it. It's part of the process. But you never stop to recognize what you have done.
And what was the difference for you then, Tulia? How did you move from being that person that just did, right, without thinking of that as anything special, without recognizing that or making a big deal out of it, to now somebody who teaches other women, right, to step into that space and to really own that?
I understood that when I started working my communication skill 10 years ago. Because even if I've been an extrovert, I love talking, but doesn't really mean that I was communicating effectively. And I was in the leadership. I've been in really leadership positions, and I'm good with people. I know how to lead, but everything was pretty much intuitive. Of course, I did my diligent work to study and myself, but I was self-learning through the process when I worked for IT companies back in Dublin. And was in a moment in my time, my life in 2008, when I had that catastrophe with my business. I was living in Barcelona, the 2008 crisis, etc., that I got into through Toastmasters International, that I got into learning how to, the first was to speak in public, right? And then understanding the preparation of what I wanted to say. And then when understanding the preparation and doing it, you have to really sit down and start analyzing exactly what is that I want to say. What is the message that I want to give to the people out there? Because you feel like I'm going to expose myself. Do I have enough ground to expose myself to that level? But once you go through that process and you bring this clarity to yourself, things change. It is a process, and my process started there. And I am what I do now is falls into the cliche that your mess is your message, and it was exactly because I understood that I could have achieved much more if I had this understanding of how to express, on when to express, and feel confident on saying what I wanted to say without the feeling of being inconvenient or inadequate, not inconvenient, inadequate, and the fear of being judged. And these are the two big elements that I find. And they're not only women, everybody. When you get in front of people, you're thinking like, people are going to judge me, what are they going to think? We all want to belong and to be accepted. But once you go through the process, you understand that no matter what, you have this message, and that is the message that matters. And I've learned very much in say thank you. I have no problem to say thank you anymore. What about you?
I love it. I'm going to quote you on your mess is your message, by the way. I freaking love it. Yeah. Well, what I was hearing in your story, right, is very much something that I say, which I've got from my old coach, which is bring the data, not the drama, right? So when women talk about their results, it feels like they're, like they're bigging up certain accomplishments, or that they, it's, oh my goodness, right? And they turn it into this really big thing, this drama in their head, right? When I talk about bring the data and not the drama, I'm not just playing into this misconception, right, that men have, a lot of men, I'm generalizing here, but that men tend to have of women, that women are so dramatic and like OMG, right, emotional, all of that, when my experience is the total opposite, by the way. But is that bringing data rather than drama, right? The data being facts, figures. And so what I was hearing in your story is like, looking at what is it that I want to that relay, right? What's the story that I want to tell, or what's the message that I've got, that you had to dig into the data. What are the facts? What am I basing everything on? What have I achieved so far, right? And so I'm loving that. There's a lot of wisdom there. Thank you for sharing. What about me? What's your question?
No. What about you? What brought you into this? In what you do right now. I read one post of yours I share here because I loved it. You were telling this story, and I think the title was something like that. Stop living in the coupons.
Oh, yeah.
On that story. You share that story because I found that so true. Yeah. It comes about our education and limiting ourselves in this desire that I deserve to have the top quality, not trying to get the coupons to get by.
Well, this is about, again, this is bringing data, not drama, right? This isn't just me and my experience, although I think the story I shared there was about my own upbringing, where my mom was always really focused on getting discounts, like little discounts here and there, like literally coupon cutting, right? And then cycling to the supermarket all the way out, to get really small discounts, really, really marginal stuff, right? But that her entire upbringing as a girl had been, and we do this for a lot of women, right? Also generations now, it's really about saving money. all the jokes about millennials aside, right? Well, they're having avocado toast every weekend, and that's, costing a lot of money. And if you just cut out the avocado toast or the Starbucks, right, orders, then suddenly we can all afford houses. That really, like, that entire focus on cutting out or getting small discount or getting discounts, right? And doing these small things that we sort of reserve for women, right, who do the grocery shopping and all of that. Whereas for boys, we raised a much more thinking about how can you increase your wealth, right? And that includes getting a higher salary, but you can only cut so many coupons, or you have to cut out a lot of coupons to weigh up against the salary increase, right? A couple of $100 a month over a lifetime adds up to hundreds of thousands, in your career, right? So I would love for women to change that kind of focus that they have on how can I save money? How can I deny myself things that give me joy, right? The Starbucks or the avocado toast or the new jeans or whatever it is that makes their heart happy, right? And instead get really excited about gaining more wealth. Through investments, through, salary increases, right? That's more income is one of the good ways. There's a ton of ways in which you can increase your wealth. And I'd love, for us collectively to focus more on the income part, right, than the outgoing part, and to think big rather than 20 cents here, 50 cents there, or a couple euros or francs or whichever country you're in, right? To think big and to change that there.
I see one other thing there because when you say to stop thinking on saving, yes, on that sense, yes, but we all have to save something. But what I see in that example of your story there in your post, what I saw was the not allowing yourself to want something that had in a high price tag. For example, because one thing is saving, we can save, we should all save, but allowing that I deserve to have this premium investment on myself. And I find this when women have to decide to do something for themselves or even for their education or going for a coaching or private coaching or something like that, that they still, like, when they find the person and that could help them, but they're still thinking, oh, this is too much money. Should I? And this is a thing that and then if they have the family, they always say, oh, I have to talk to my husband. I have to see. I understand that too. There are certain things, certain investments you discuss, but you have to be careful if you are discussing or if you are asking for permission.
Yes.
Because I find that a lot of time in the back of the mind is trying to get a permission, a validation that it's okay that you invest that money on yourself. And even when sometimes the money comes from you. And this comes from all the levels. And this is why we have to start developing this self-awareness of where we are standing and what are the stories we are telling to ourselves. And for me, you use a different tool. My tool is the communication. And I find that once you have to start telling stories, because every time you ask me, tell me your story, I have to stop and think, what exactly is the story I'm going to talk about? And even if I share something here with you spontaneously, it's in the back of my mind, and then I might have to revisit certain things that I said. And I believe this is an important process that we all women have to embrace. And you say, speak up, and I say, speak up too, because we need all those voices out there.
Couldn't agree more.
Couldn't agree more, yeah? And tell me more, about, I asked you, did you get into the women in negotiation?
Oh, that is such a logical story now, looking back. It really wasn't at the time. But I have a background. I trained originally as a lawyer. So I worked in a law firm for about 5 years before my family and I decided to relocate to Asia. And there I couldn't practice as a lawyer. I also didn't want to. I mean, I left with a massive burnout. It wasn't my environment. It wasn't my place. The firm, at least, where I worked, right? So I really enjoyed my work, but it was a tough environment, and it wasn't for me. So when we moved to Asia, I was kind of considering what to do, and I wouldn't say I retrained, but I took a job as a HR director. So I set up HR for a very large organization in Asia, which was a ton of fun because I'm a builder. I like making things and like getting things sort of going, basically. So I had a ton of ideas that I could all implement. It was fantastic. Had a lot of fun there. And I sat on the other side of the table, as I always say, right? Really sort of seeing in these conversations what works, what doesn't work for women, for women and for men, right? But kind of like what employers are looking for. And I did another thing there. So I had both the recruitment process, and I also was in charge of training. And so across the world, I would run these trainings myself on the one topic I knew more about than most other people, which was negotiation, because that had always been my obsession. That had been the reason why I went to law school and then worked in this law firm, right? I was very good at negotiation, and I could talk about it all day, every day. Like it still is like my big passion in life, right? And so what I noticed in these trainings across the world was that wherever I was, whether it was in Asia or in Europe, in North America, everywhere, women would always gather afterwards around me, and they would tell me the same thing, which is, this is such an important topic, and I suck at it. I'm really bad at negotiation, right? Especially for myself. So it took me a while, but then I realized we have a problem, people. And so I started digging into the research, and I realized this wasn't just my experience, right? Which at that point wasn't anecdotal anymore. I had hundreds of women, right, across the world, across generations, etc. But I still thought, is it just me? Is it just people, But no, the research is very clear. This is a global phenomenon. It is a problem across generations. And so I realized that women need to learn to negotiate for themselves. They're great negotiators, but when it comes to themselves, they run into this gender stereotype that they can't ask for themselves. They can't say, I am great, and they can't say, I want, right? We're not supposed to do that. So I realized there's a great big freaking need for that. And that's when I decided to help my friends and co-workers in more of an organized fashion. So I started running these online trainings for them to see if the way that I had managed my career and the way that I negotiated, right? I told negotiation that would work, and it did. So from that, I learned something, or I learned a lot, right? That there is this need, this combination of my passion for negotiation and my passion for women empowerment, right? I've been a feminist. I was born a feminist, basically. And so I brought those two together into what is now WIN. And I guess if you're talking about brave stories, I think the bravest I have ever been when it comes to my career is for sure when I decided to throw in my very lucrative career as an in-house lawyer, because I went back to in-house law basically after that HR stint when I moved back to Europe. But to stop that and to start my own business doing this thing, right? There was no guarantee for success. As I always say, I still am a little bit surprised that I'm ultimately a lawyer. What the hell do I know about marketing or sales, right? But that it's worked, and it's worked incredibly well, which is a testament to that need that there is in the world for the work that I do, and also to the results that my clients are getting, right? It's obviously a word of mouth situation where, because their results are so amazing, that brings in a lot of other people who are like, hey, can I have some of that, right? So that was a moment of bravery, because I knew it would work. I had a weird confidence. I still wonder how come I knew it was going to work, right? I obviously tested it to some extent by running these trainings with my family and friends, but there was this really deep inside understanding or knowledge. I knew for sure. I had the certainty this will work, which I couldn't quite explain. But that I took that step. right? To ditch the career that I'd worked very hard at and I was also good at, I'd like to think. And to start something that I knew very little about, right? The entrepreneurial or commercial aspect of that. To do that and then to succeed in that. That's still a bit of a mystery and a joy.
No, I don't think it's a mystery. You said it all. Every time you spoke, you had a woman coming to you asking for help. You just needed to, from what I hear from you, you just needed a time to believe that you could do it, in the sense like, oh my God, I'm leaving something that I have here secure to do something that's new, but it was there.
Well, the content of the work that I do, right? I knew that there was a need for that. It's just the way in which to do that, which is in my own business, right? That was something I'd never done before. I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. And yet it was very successful from day one, also from an entrepreneurial perspective. And that's the bit where I still kind of scratch my head and go, wow, that was courageous, because there really was no certainty on that part of the equation.
And I think that is also of being brilliant. What do you think?
Thank you. I mean, I'm incredibly proud of that result. I remember the people who helped me, right, in marketing and sales told me that it's 1% of coaches worldwide that make more than $250,000 a year. So I was like, okay, I need to belong to that 1%, clearly, to explain to my husband why I gave up the career that I had, right? So, okay, 1%, that's what I need to go for. And I managed to do that in just over 1 year, right? And thank you. And since then, I've doubled and, increased year on year massively, which is wonderful. That certainty wasn't there. So that was kind of a leap into the unknown. And I'm proud of those results, and I'm happy with those results, because for my personal success, or in that entrepreneurial journey, right, that success that stands, of course, or that's built on the success of my clients, right? Their success has led me to this place, which is a ton of fun to think about, right? The collective sort of joy that has sort of the world is increased by, how much joy and how much money as well for, that my clients are getting, right? That sort of collective increase is a lot of fun to think about. It's not about me, right? It's about my clients. It's about their results. And that I get very excited about. Yeah.
That's so awesome to hear. We are going to have to wrap up right now. But thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your experience, your energy. And let's keep working and motivating more women to stand up and speak up, because we do need to see them there. Numbers, we definitely need to see them there. A last word do you want to say?
I just want to thank you, Tulia, for both this platform, right, and for this wonderful podcast that you're putting together, but also for the work that you're doing, right? As we've said a couple of times during this conversation, we are both working in the same direction, right? Or we're going in the same direction. We're doing the same kind of work, just from slightly different angles, right? And I'm just really happy that you're in this world and that you're doing the work that you're doing. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Give it 5.
Right. Bye, Tulia.
Bye-bye. That's all for today. I hope you got inspired to raise your game and be brave, bold, and brilliant. Make sure you listen to my other podcasts. Stories are great sources of inspiration and transformation. Subscribe. Remember, there is someone somewhere who needs to hear exactly what I shared with you here today. Be generous and spread the word. Give your feedback and help grow this awesome community. Until then, be brave, bold, and brilliant, and speak up unapologetically.